Okay. We have enough chairs. Yeah. Well. Okay. I put this all down here so that I wouldn't screw it up, but do our best to get through, and I have tried to place Kleenex strategically around, so I know there will be tears. But let's get started. Good afternoon, and thank you, my beloved family and friends who are like family, for coming together today to gather, to commemorate, honor, celebrate the life of a courageous and great lady, Annie Benavente Stone. It's my experience as 50 years as church organist that funerals, memorials, and graveyards are really for the survivors, not the dead. It's difficult saying goodbye at the airport. It's even more difficult saying goodbye under these circumstances. I want to address that and show you a way to feel better and perhaps help in the healing of sending Annie on her way. After I read a biography of Annie's life, I will then invite you to share your memories, lessons learned, etc. about Annie. I want you to realize that when you share these memories and experiences of Annie, you're also sharing wonderful qualities about yourself. You see, we are all mirror images of each other. That which we like about someone is something that's likable about ourselves. Perhaps you've heard of someone bringing out the best in somebody. Well, that quality was already there. It just needed a little help in coming out. Now, the way to keep someone's memory alive is to continue doing what they did. As an example, Jesus at the Last Supper knew he was going to die. He didn't want his ministry of love to die with him. He took bread and wine and said, "When you eat this bread and drink this wine, do this in remembrance of me." Those are trigger mechanisms. They bring to mind all the things of his life. However, communion doesn't have to be just bread and wine. It can be anything that triggers the memory of someone. You already have this experience. Think of the things that you learned from your parents, your grandparents, aunts and uncles, a close friend. Now, when you do the things that you learned from Annie, remember her as you do it. Share that experience with your children and your loved ones. That way she will go on. And remember, that is also a good quality about yourself. Pay it forward. Annie Benavente Stone, born April 16, 1944, died November 20th, 2015. Annie was born during World War II in Japanese-occupied Guam. She grew up in dire poverty, but she didn't know it because of the rich life that was in her family. Annie's father was the oldest child of 24, of whom 14 brothers and sisters survived, married and had large families. Despite poverty and hard times, they always made it work. That was the Chamorro way. Annie had nearly 100 cousins. They all got along very well. She had a happy childhood. Annie was always a person of quiet courage. She was always stretching the envelope, looking for a better way to do things. She was always looking for a deeper meaning of life and spirituality. Now, demonstrating that quiet courage at age 15, she left home and joined the Mercy Order of Nuns and became Sister Lucia. But after 7 years, she decided that was not for her and returned home to help care for her family. Her father had suffered a second stroke, and help was definitely needed at home. She had 5 younger brothers and 4 cousins from her mother's side of the family, all living under one roof. Now, the government of Guam wanted Annie to become principal of Chief Brody Memorial School, a school for special needs children. Annie needed to get her teaching degree and was sent to San Francisco State College. Again, showing that courage while there, she decided she wanted to pursue her interest in music and came to Ashland, Oregon to attend Southern Oregon College. She initially stayed with an aunt, Maria Ulloa. This aunt had retired from Guam, had been an educator, and had an elementary school named after her. Then Annie moved into Ashland and shared an apartment with her cousin Irene Leon Guerrero. This is where I entered the picture. Ashland was my hometown, and I was attending Southern Oregon College and also in the music program. We had a common group of friends who thought we should be together, and somehow always arranged to have us sit together. The rest is history. A year later, we were married, and after my senior year, I entered the Navy, and Annie returned to Guam. Again, that courage came forward. Annie took surveyors out into the boonies to set in place real markers and boundaries for land that had been in the family for years, but had not been surveyed. She took surveyors there looking for ancient markers such as a coconut tree with an X carved on it. Now the land was a marketable value, marketable property with marketable value. Dividing that land into parcels, sold some for seed money, and started a family corporation. Because of that kind of a beginning, every member of her immediate family was able to have a roof over their head eventually and an income. She joined me in California, where I finished my stint in the Navy. And when we returned to Guam, she really blossomed. As a teacher, it didn't matter what grade, what subject she taught. Her students always won awards. And then she became head of the Arts Council, CAHA, the Council for Arts and Humanities Agency. Because of her, for the first time since that agency had been a little vest pocket agency out of the governor's office, it was able to be federally auditable. She made a real art gallery. CAHA went from 1-year basic state grants to 3-year grants for some long-range planning. She helped to revive some elements of the Chamorro culture. There was a reenactment of Magellan's Landing on the southern end of Guam. She helped to write a 3-part play that was presented on Tahiti at the Festival of Pacific Arts and Cultures. Being a modest person, all this was done behind the scenes. She was never a person hungry for headlines and fame. In 1990, we returned to the mainland and settled in Washington. A few years later, Annie again blazed that trail by having built the first of its kind for Thurston County, a monolithic dome home. Bob Hendricks, who was the builder, and Dan, who's one of the main people, they can tell you all about that. Since then, others have been built, but this house was her design. For the past 9 years, Annie worked with me at Carlisle IT, Interconnect Technology. Again, she thought outside the box, solved problems, helped secure contract for the company, and was a real go-to person. They called her Mama at work. I always remember they had a production cell, and person number 1 kind of set the pace, and then the cable went to number 2, and then number 3, and they all did something. And she'd get busy and get things going, and then they're saying, Mama, Mama, slow down. And she said, you can't keep up with a 70-year-old lady. You, go faster. They loved her. She was a woman who, as she put it, expressed abundance. She loved gardening, music, and most of all, exploring deeper ways of using the mind. She learned and taught the Silva method, subliminal dynamics, and Reiki. For a few years, she attended the Ramtha School. She was always seeking a better way to do things. Annie had a full life. Now, I'm holding a daisy today, and I invite anyone, everyone, to come forward and share your memories, lessons learned from Annie. As you do, please take a daisy. They were her favorite flower. Hold on to that daisy while you're sharing with us and take it home with you. Okay? So, I now open the floor. Anyone, please take a daisy and share your experience with Annie.
Thank you, Dad.
Don't all jump at once.
I'll start. I'll start. You're welcome. Wow. I guess I'll start off by saying, I didn't really prepare anything other than just the thoughts that are in my head and my heart, Lloyd. And I think that, I guess the best way to start this off, and I'll be fairly quick because I know a lot of people probably want to say a lot of things, but Annie had a very profound effect on my life. And it was probably just a nanosecond out of her life that she spent doing it. There was a time when she had done the Silva method, and I had smoked probably a pack and a half of cigarettes for 20 years. I had tried quitting, and then every day, January 1st, I decided made the joke that I was going to quit 2 weeks every year, and finally the weeks would add up, I'd have it licked. But that program didn't work so well. And then one morning, I had really kind of had enough of smoking, and Annie had mentioned that she does hypnotherapy. And so I came out to the house where they were living before they built this beautiful home and spent about 30 to 45 minutes with Annie that morning. Had no idea what to expect. Wasn't sure if she was going to have me clucking like a chicken for comedy or not. That was not the case. It was very, very, I was awake the whole time. It was an amazing 45 minutes, really. 30 to 45 minutes is all it was. She told me when I left that I would never, ever crave another cigarette. I would have no withdrawals. That was a little over 15 years ago, and I have never craved a cigarette nor had a withdrawal or ever wanted one since. That was a very small, and that was on Annie. That was a very small part of Annie's life. So I guess the reason I shared this story with you is to simply say that I can only imagine in all of her life, all of the very small moments that she has shared or long moments that she has shared with people that have had very profound effects on their lives. And that being the case, I can only imagine how much life has changed for a lot of people, and quite frankly, the world, because she was in it. And I would think that because of that, paying it forward, that Annie will always be here. She's left her body, but she will live on in the way that she has touched and affected everybody in their entire lives. There's no doubt in my mind about that. She'll be here long after we're gone. And Annie lives on forever. And so all I want to do is say that I know for a fact, I've known Annie and Lloyd for going on about 20 years now, and I know for a fact that Annie had a very profound and deep, unrelenting, or not unrelenting, but unmoving love for her family, her husband, and her children, and the people that she cared about. There was no truer love than that. I absolutely believe that with all my heart. And so, with a great deal of respect and a great deal of fondness for a woman that I will very clearly say that I am very honored to have been blessed to have known. Here's to Annie.
I only knew Annie for about 2 weeks, maybe a month. Excuse me. The most wonderful, caring individual I have ever met. I'm sorry I didn't get to spend more time with her, but I know that she is someplace where she is happy. And knowing her, she's probably up there right now laughing at all of us and saying, "Oh, I'm so glad you're here. God bless you." Thank you.
I wasn't sure I was going to speak or not, but I will. In honor of Annie's life and celebration of her, the one word that I can say that she incorporated in all that knew her, whether we were family or friends, she treated us all as if we were her family. And that's the love that she gave to all of us. And that's what I remember her from. And as far as the memories, I guess we've known, how long have we gone back, Lloyd? 30 years, 25 years, 25 years? Yeah, I was laughing at Lloyd this morning. I said, do you remember the time when they had their house for sale over on Johnson Point Road, and they sold their house and they didn't have anywhere to go, and they ended up in a motel. And Annie and I were talking, and she said, well, Lloyd's got to have a hernia surgery. And I said, well, where are you going to take him when he comes home from the hospital? So anyway, he didn't know it, but at that time, they were getting rid of furniture. So we ended up with their sofa, their living room set from their house in our den. And Lloyd didn't know he was going to recuperate on on his sofa at our house in the den, which he did. But they had and Bob back there, they were building on this house here, and he was trying to get this one finished and inspected, and I don't know what all the hang-up was, but anyway, it's just like Annie and Lloyd have been part of our family ever since we've been out here living, and the memories, like for every holiday, for the last 25 years, I guess, Annie would get together, and everybody that knows Annie should say, you want to get together? And I'd say, yeah. And so here we'd set about planning a holiday, and we'd have meals. And consequently, I don't think we missed a holiday, period, because we'd find something to celebrate. So I look back, and the little garden out here that her son so lovingly helped do, and Lloyd, and, we've shared garden seeds. We've shared when one of us was down and my husband wasn't sure that he was going to make it through surgery, and he had colon cancer, and Lloyd and Annie came to the hospital. I won't ever forget that, and sat with me and helped me through those times. And, it's just like my whole memories are just tied up. And life will just never be the same without Annie. And she'll be greatly missed. I chose the one that didn't want me to have it. I'll take another one. It wouldn't come out. It wasn't mine. Okay.
You're right, she will live forever.
Yep.
Annie was an amazing energy worker and manipulator, an incredible healer. And she helped me and my father. And just real briefly, I have to tell you the miracles she did on my dad. My dad was a severe insulin-dependent diabetic with severe foot neuropathy. And one of his feet was not healing, and it was scheduled for amputation. And whatever the doctors did, nothing helped, nothing helped, nothing helped. And I was talking to Annie about it, and she said, bring him over. And I said, he's stubborn. He doesn't like to listen to anybody. And he'll manipulate to try to make things look like he did it if it was successful. That's just his way of gaining his confidence in himself, which I think we all have experienced that. She says, bring him over. I want to meet him. I want to work on him. I said, okay, he's going to be a challenge. She says, I'm up for it. So I brought her over, and he didn't want to go. And I said, look, what's it gonna hurt you? What you gonna lose? If anything at all, you're gonna lose a little bit of time, but it's gonna be a great experience. Be open-minded, Dad. And I said to him, you always told me that the two most powerful forces on earth were water and the mind. And he wasn't sure which was more powerful. He kind of felt the mind was. And so I said, remember that? He goes, yes. I said, come over. So he came with me, and Annie sat him down, and she said, I can feel him mentally struggling and fighting me. And I said, I know, doesn't surprise me. So she said, Richard, I want you to sit here and count backwards from 500. So he did. And he was not in tune yet, and she could feel that. And I was watching this, and I could see that. And she said, okay, you're not opening up to my words and my suggestions. He says, well, yes, I am. And she says, well, no, you're really not. But you know what? That's okay. We're going to start again. I feel that you have strong energy, and I'm going to help you help yourself. So she said, let's start over again. And she said, I have to go out of the room for a moment, and Deb's going to help me. We'll be right back. So we just stepped out about 20 feet from where he was, and she said, he's very mentally strong. I said, I know. She said, but I'm stronger. And I said, I know. Yeah. So we went back, and she did it again, and he just needed that time to settle into a little different environment, I think. And she and I talked later, and she said, that's right. So he counted backwards from 500, and she did Reiki on him. She did energy manipulation and energy work. And when he came into their home, and this was out at Johnson Point, his foot was so swollen and so huge and so wounded that he couldn't get a shoe on. He had one of those little walking foot, not like a cast, but where you have to have a boot. Thank you, a boot that had Velcro straps over it. The Velcro straps were pulled so tight that it barely stayed on his foot. It was that swollen. It was just huge. She worked on him for about 15, 20 minutes, and I looked down at his foot, and all of a sudden the Velcro straps were loose. And if he had stood up and walked out of the boot, he would have walked out of the boot. And I was seeing a miracle right in front of my eyes. I couldn't believe it. And she looked at me, and I nodded towards the foot, and she looked at it. She did some more work on him. And when she was done, she said, now I want you to bend over, and I want you to tighten your boot. He says, I can't. And she says, be aware of your foot. You can. And he looked down, and he goes, oh my gosh, I have a new foot. He didn't have to get it amputated. She worked a miracle on my father, which I will be forever grateful. My father passed away in 2008, but he passed away with both his feet, and he hadn't planned on that. Carmen and Donna, who are here, and I got together last Friday night. We came and visited Lloyd for a while, and I went over to Carmen and Steve's. Donna was there, and we talked and reminisced about Annie a little bit. We all three went to her Silva school and graduated and had the best time and had a wonderful graduation dinner and celebrated. So Donna and Carmen and I celebrated again, and we all talked about things we remembered that she did and we did, and she said and we said. And one of the things that struck me the hardest is that we all agreed that Annie was a very empowered spirit, and her gift was to empower others. And I felt it, and I know Carmen and Donna felt it, and just to know her and be around her was a miracle and a gift and an empowerment that just made you feel complete and whole. And Annie was a listener. I'll always remember that and always respect and love her for that. She was a listener. And in this day and age, it's hard to be a listener sometimes. And she had that gift, which I think really helped her to be so spiritually powerful. So, Annie, you'll be in my prayers forever. I know you'll be looking down on us forever. And thank you for allowing me to know you and love you and have you in my life. I love you forever. God bless you.
Well, I'm Annie's partner in crime. Our story began, we were in school together at the Ramtha School, and I'd always seen her kind of running around, but I lived in Idaho. And my husband and I sold our house and moved over here, and we were driving by the house one day, we were out here on the road. I said, oh, we have to stop at that house. We were already down to the stop sign. I said, no, we got to back up. We have to go to that house. We have to look at that dome house. But it was really Annie. She had just gotten out of the hospital. Or sometime. It was close. She had had heart surgery. I said, oh. We looked at the house, and we said, yeah, that's good. And I said, well, yeah, but you need to sit down, and I'm going to work on your feet. And she said, oh, no, yeah, you're going to. Because she couldn't get around too well. And I used to do therapy in Idaho, in many places. But she let me. And so we just got acquainted, and we've been acquainted ever since. And we got introduced to... We had a huddle of a circle of friends that we kind of spent all our holidays here with her. And this is the first time I've been here to eat without Annie's. That this is it's too weird, but I can do it. Well, I'll have a hard time out in the world with, because when people see me, they would call her Sandy, or they call me Annie. They thought we were alike. I said, no, we're not even relatives, but we really are. Oh, that's enough.
Hi. Try to speak up. When I think of Annie, there's a couple things that come to my mind, and one of them is her ability to see that seed, that spark of magnificent in everybody that she came in contact with. And like Deb said, she empowered others, and she had this amazing ability to pay that forward, that empowerment, and being that reflection, so that you could see your magnificence and your beauty shining from Annie. And I will always remember that about Annie. For when my son was a baby, we were living in Oregon at the time, and my husband was traveling, working on the road with Lloyd, and we stayed with them in their house out on Johnson's Point before this home here. And that's when we did the Silva course, and she gifted me with that. And she touched me in so many ways, but that ability for her to pass on her courage and her beauty, that we all can be that. And I remember one day she looked me in the eyes and she held my hands and she told me, "You are a healer." And I believed her. I knew that she could see me. And she was my inspiration, and I have become a Reiki master. And I thank Annie for that, for her ability to see in me and help me to have that courage to be that. Also, something else that really makes me smile when I think about Annie is seeing her with children. Annie had just that playful child, like she was a child in so many ways, and looking at the world through a child's eyes was just so fun to play with Annie out in the garden, and the way that she was with my son when he was little, and she was a great teacher of teaching me as a young mother to be a guide for our children. As we're teaching, we're being guided by them as we're teaching. And she was a magnificent teacher, and I know has touched all of us so much, and she will forever always be in my heart, and I'm so grateful for her. And I love you, Annie, and thank you for all of your many blessings.
Excuse me, I'm going to say one more thing to you from right here. I knew Annie for such a short time, but I want you to know that when I met her family, I can see why she was such a wonderful person, because you are all very wonderful yourselves. And thank you for taking care of me and including me in all this, and just knowing her.
I'm going to start crying, so this is, if you can't understand me, I'm sorry. Gosh, I got so many things to say about her. I feel like we shared a great gift. I feel like she was a giver of gifts all her life to everybody she met. And she left that same way. She gave us all a gift that day. I feel like she was a wonderful teacher. She was very empowering to everybody, and I think we came to her and looked at her, and she looked at us, and in her mind it's, why can't you do that? And you know what I mean? And she believed she could do whatever she wanted to do, which is why she achieved so much in life. She didn't have those boundaries that I think we place on ourselves, and I think she was really good at revealing to us that there's no reason for us to put those in place, that we're only limited by ourselves. And I feel like we had a neat bond. We didn't see each other often, but I feel like we felt each other. And she was the one who kind of spoke to me right before Lloyd called and kind of gave me a heads up that it was time. And it was a day later that he called me and said, you need to come. And we got here just when she wanted us to get here. And we were able to be here. And her biggest thing was you. She wanted to make sure we were here for you. But she will never leave. She's always going to be with you. She's right here with us now. And all of us is Annie. She left bits and pieces of her and us that will never go away. Anyway, I got a lot to say, but that's it for now. She was just an awesome, amazing being. Yeah, beautiful.
this is going to be different because I didn't get to really know Annie. But I was here a few years ago for a Christmas thing. And so she said to me, you paint. And I said, well, yeah, sort of. And she said, well, I'm going to change this here. And I don't know whether you were getting a new thing or whatever. But she said, I want you to tell me, how should we paint this? How should we work this? I said, I just got to your house. I don't know what you want to do. I do know that he plays. I hear that at church. But I said, what do you want? She said, well, how should I paint it? I said, well, we'll just paint it. And she said, what do you think about color? And I said, well, it would look nice, I think, to just use the color that you have out here, put it there. She said, well, we're going to put in another organ or something. I think it was a new one, something. And she said, well, just tell me what you do. You're a teacher, aren't you? And I said, well, I try to be. And so she started laughing. She said, and I bet you work with kids, with little kids. And I said, yeah, I do. She said, well, then, okay, I'll be the mother, you be the little kid. And you tell me what I should do. I said, well, you know, I would paint it over and paint the whole thing, and I would just enjoy it. And I said, you enjoy the music? And I said, I do. And I said, I can't believe that you can stand in the kitchen and know what he's doing out here. And she said, well, I can stand in the kitchen and I can know what everybody's doing out there. And I said, I don't think that you're telling me a lie. I think you really can. I said, but don't tell me what I'm doing now because I don't think I'm doing anything. And so then she said, well, how would you work it? And so I just told her a couple of things, and she said, that's what I'm going to do. And you know, she did. I didn't know it until I walked in here. And I didn't get to have the fun and all the time that you had with her. But I will never forget Annie. And every time I went to a special store, I would see her husband every time. And we always talked about Annie, didn't we? And you people are so lucky. I would love to have had the time with her. But thank you for letting me come.
I've always been a mama's boy. The last gift she gave me, she died in our arms, the arms of my father and myself. I will never forget it. I want to invite all of you, even if you don't have anything to say, or you probably have something to say, but it's maybe a little uncomfortable, you know, just come and get a flower and take this home. Dad got a bunch of them. There's one for everybody here. Take it home and remember Mama, you know. Yeah. Come and take a flower, everybody. Come get one. Just take one home. Thank you.
After you do that, I would invite you. My son really did an incredible job. We finished it up last night. and he's made a video and a slideshow, which is now out on YouTube and Facebook. But we invite you to view this on the big screen there. You may have to come around and watch it, but I promise you it's well worth it. Thank you.
Thank you. Does everyone here have a flower? Take it home with you. That's some memory.
He's not going to do it. We've made up our mind.
Careful, it's wet, baby.
I'm just waiting for your speech.
What's wrong with this?
Sometimes they get out hard, get it out here. Take it out.
That's exactly what it was.
Thank you.
Time after time, I tell myself that I'm so lucky to be loving you. So lucky to be the one you run to see in the evening when the day is through. I only know what I know. The passing years will show. You've kept my love so young, so new, and time after time, you'll hear me say that I'm so lucky to be loving you.
Merry Christmas! Welcome, Gemma. That's Ethiopia.
Okay, Harry, very good. We wish everyone happy.
Shwaya Noel. Feliz Navidad.
Okay, very good.
Shwaya Noel.
You've kept my love so young, so new.
Merry Christmas.
And time after time, you'll hear me say that I'm so lucky to be loving you.
Michael's superb.
That's available on YouTube and Facebook. If you want to ever see it again.
Tell everybody how to get it. Yeah.
Oh, just go to Annie Stone Memorial on YouTube, and it's also on Facebook.
We have a collection of some albums we want to pass to everybody. We only have like 30 of them, so one per household, if that's okay. Steve's going to pass it around and take some pictures home with you. And remember to take one of these. They're Mama's favorite flower. Okay, guys. Thank you all for coming. Let's eat.
Thank you for having us.
Let's have some food. Come on, guys.
It's enough for a small army.
like one? We'd love one.
Lloyd, I think that these guys need to be acknowledged. No, Lloyd, I think these guys